bound altogether. And on top of cable, you have also the wireless transmission media and devices. For example, those using smartphone that is based on cellular system, and those that communicate using satellites like astro broadcasting, they use satellite. And this is supported by the transmission speed. And transmission speed normally being measured by bits per second, or short form BPS, and it is measured in hertz, which is how many frequency per second, and that's what they call bandwidth on the overall transmission speed. And the other key technology that is supporting the telecommunication and network is basically the internet itself. Well, as you are aware, the internet is actually a network of computer networks, which is many networks out there that is making up the internet. So the internet works with internet service provider. Normally, each country has their own internet service company, and these are called ISP. And internet connection is controlled by the ISP of each country. And as I said earlier, at current speed of 400 megabit per second, it is just as internet speed of human walking on the road. At 1 gigabit per second, it is just like the speed of car moving on the road. So if it is at 4Gs, it is around this maximum 1 gigabit per second. If it is at 5Gs, the speed of internet is moving at 10 gigabit per second. On top of the internet itself, so we need to have the construct of the internet system architecture, and they call it internet addressing or IP addresses in the form of this number, as I explained to you. At each local area network port connection, there are IP addresses number, normally in this form of numbers, dot, and numbers. And for internet to work, they have to have this domain name system in order to address proper location or destination of the internet receiver. For example, if the domain name for our university, UTHM, so the address is called www.uthm.edu.my. So all internet connection in the domain name system around the world have the same domain name system according to relating to their country. Like if it is .my, it is Malaysia. If it is .sg, it is Singapore. If it is .cn, it is China. If there is no dot at the end of this address, it means United States. And this addressing domain name system are all basically managed and controlled, or sort of being organized, administered by WWW. It is a World Wide Web Consortium, and it is headquartered in the USA. How does the domain name system work? Well, basically it follows certain structure. For example, the dot, it means the internet root domain. Every dot signifies domain. And after the dot, if it is edu, it is education. Com means commercial or business. Gov means government. Org means organization. Net means network. And after that, you're going to have basically the second level domain. It is by Google and the company. Either it is a Congress or maybe it is a group. So these are second level domain. And of that company, and under that company, they have departments normally. For example, Google Sales or Google Marketing. So these are the third level domain name hosts. And only then it can be received by the server or a server to process your request for communication. Well, one quite a good topic emerged by this domain name system. People may make it a mechanism how to make money or how to sell domain name system, right? So domain name system works based on who requests for register first, right? If you request to register first, the name, for example, www.rosmanitasmin.com.my, so you own that domain name. No other Rosmani Tasmin will have the rights to use that domain because you register first. So if another Rosmani Tasmin requests for this domain name, right? So you have you can sell that name to the other Rosmani Tasmin. Perhaps there are two Rosmani Tasmin here in the world. So who register first? And upon registration, of course, you need to pay some amount of money because you need to capture the right of the names. And the next request for the same name is not able to get that name except given permission by the first registrant, and that first registrant is willing to sell the name to the other user that wanting the same name. So in that way, actually, you can make money. Perhaps you registering the name with a lower cost, and because the second user wanting to use the same name, so you can sell to them. How does the internet network architecture works? Well, basically, it all are connected or all are linked towards a backbone. Backbone is normally linking internet cabling, linking between continental to another continental. For example, on your top left, there is a continental for US, and there is a continental of Europe here. So these two continental are connected by backbone. So from the backbone, it is connected to the regional, for example, country, UK, Germany, France. So that is what they call MAE, regional hubs, normally related to country. And within this country, then they connected to a network of regional hosts. And from this the regional host, you can connect to organization, for example, to New York University Education, or you can connect to local internet service provider, for example, telecommunication company, and only then your home could have the internet access, and your university campus network can have internet access to the backbone and to the rest part of the world for internet communication. Well, this sounds familiar, internet services, because you have been using it quite a lot. Email, chatting, World Wide Web. So these are very general knowledge and for your understanding. Basically, you are here as a client. So you're using your PC terminal, notebook, and smartphone. You get connected to the internet, and the internet will link you to the server. Say this server belongs to PTM Center, IT Center UTHM, and of course inside the web, inside the server web, there are websites for UTHM, and of course the cloud platform for email, for example, Zimbra or Gmail transfer email protocol. The domain name that UTHM registered to, for example, www.uthm.edu.my, protocol of file transferring between UTHM server to the outside world, and also network transfer protocol. So all these are housed within the UTHM server. Within the server contains, of course, the web pages and also the email files kept within the server storage area. The server interact with application server, for example, software like SMAP Online, student system maklumat academic pelajar. So that is considered under application. So it is a software to host the database of your academic performance and credential, and it is kept inside the database MySQL, for example. So within the database server, it is kept all your records for your reference traceability, for graduation purposes and so on. So these are the mechanism for client server computing basing on the internet and network. The global internet is also made more useful by having the voice or video over IP, which is VoIP. So you could use application like Skype, Facebook Cam, and many other applications, so that you could communicate with your friends by using this VoIP protocol. How does the VoIP works in the internet platform setting? Well, this is basically a description of a diagram communicating, say, user as you and with your friends, say, in Japan. So say you are using your Facebook, you are asking his health back there in Japan. So you type, how are you? How are you? This is a one sentence statement, will be broken down to 3 packets in the form of A, B, and C by your computer through their gateway. And this A, B, C will be sent through your broadband services over the internet and go to your friend's computer through its NIC, and he will reach it. Before he can reach your statement, how are you, over the internet, actually these 3 packet A, B, and C are scrambled or are sent, handled, and managed differently. Here is how, here is are, here is you. So after passing to the internet, upon arriving at the gateway, it will be arranged accordingly from BCA at the gateway, and passing the gateway, it will be arranged as ABC, so that you can read in your friend reading at his screen, how are you? So in return, he will surely write a reply. So he says, fine, thank you. Fine, thank you is actually one statement which will be broken down into 3 packets, X, Y, and Z. And he will send his message back through the gateway. And as such, this X, Y, Z over the internet will be scrambled into 3 packets and will be sent to your gateway in the sequence like Y, Z, X. And upon passing the gateway, it will be reassembled back in the proper sequence as your friend sent you from Japan in the form of XYZ, so that you can read in your screen, fine, thank you. So this is how it works between data sending, scrambling, reassembling, and from between user, you and your friend at the other end. Under a more secure communication, they call it VPN, Virtual Private Network. Normally, VPN is being applied by big company, for example, like Sony or Siemens. They have their own VPN. So between Sony and Sony suppliers, they use their own VPN so that their commercial communication, like product ordering, pricing, shipment, can be more secured, linking between supplier to Sony, for example. So this is a more on commercial base, due to security and confidentiality of information between customer, companies, and also its supplier. So on the global internet platform, within the web perspective, there are many components that making the web works. For example, the basic language that web designer use to design the web or the website is they call HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. Within the hypertext markup language, web designer using language like Java, C++ in order to design their website. And in order for their website to communicate with the other website, they need to use this protocol, which is HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Because when you transfer information from one website to another website, there are schemes or there are procedures or rules that the website need to follow so that they can communicate with each other. Within the web, another component which is important making the web works, basically they call URL, Unified Resource Locator. In other words, URL is the internet address of your website. For example, www.uthm.edu.my.com/ptm. So that is URL for IT center at UTHM. Other than that, there are many web servers serving the website in order for customer to get the information what they search for. So these are the servers that respond to your request over the internet based on your surfing request. On the global internet platform, other components that are key in making it work are, of course, search engine. Search engine are the software that helps you find what you are searching for. Well, of course, search engine have experienced evolution in the 1990s up to now, new millennium and 2020. So in the early days of search engine, the most famous search engine was called Netscape. So Netscape was famous for around 8 to 10 years since 1990s, then later taken over by Microsoft Explorer. And during that time, Explorer is competing with Yahoo. And after another 5 or 8 years, this Explorer and Yahoo becoming less prevalent or less famous and being taken over by Yahoo Chrome. Sorry, it's taken up by Google Chrome. So as such, nowadays, I would say predominantly we search mostly by using search engine like Google Chrome. Here is some statistics that being published inside your textbook that it claims that almost around 80% of search over the internet in this world is basically using Google. So this is basically a fact. The global internet works also primarily due to search based on social needs. For example, Facebook search, Instagram, Twitter. So the semantic search relating to social needs, basically when you type your Google dialog box here, something that you search for. So for example, you are searching for university in Malaysia. So they will come up with a respective search university that they will propose the phrases that is most relevant to you. So you just need to type and see what will be coming out from the optional suggested search phrases. So from there you may click what they are proposing, and this is what they call search by meaning or searching semantic search, which is anticipating for users to look what subject matter they want to find, and server will propose close phrases that is almost matching to your search. Well, basically, how does actually Google works? Okay, this figure 7-12 explain the mechanism of how Google works. Say, step 1, this is you as a user. You are searching queries for some information. For example, COVID-19 now is in the crisis. So your search will be sent to a Google data center at their servers, and this server will distribute your request to search for the information on COVID-19 in Malaysia to their many parallelly distributed processor across the world. So whichever processor or computer are free to do the processing, so the data center server will assign to that computer to serve your request. So after finding the closest website that explain about COVID-19 in Malaysia, so the Google Chrome server will send the request for indexing. So this indexing is meant for to rank based on page rank software. Page is name of the inventor that invent Google Chrome, which is Larry Page. So based on Larry Page software, they will rank based on the frequency of the words or the sentence you are searching for match to rank within the most frequent 10 website that is matching to your request. When they have arranged it from 1 to 10 and then 11 to 20, they will send those pages normally in a page of 10 websites to your screen. And from there, you may choose which one is the most relevant to your search. So this is how the mechanism it works. It is basically page on Larry Page rank software mechanism. Nowadays, web have evolutionized to Web 2.0 and Web 3.0. So the second stage for second generation web, basically it promotes or enable for people to do collaboration, sharing information like social media, and of course, facilitating online services like purchase. So the features should be interactive, in which the request must be entertained, and it is basically controlled by the user who are searching for information. So by that, they can generate mass content of user within the internet platform. So Web 2.0 services and tools, they also promote blogging, which is sharing of information, sharing of updates, like Blogsphere, like Wikipedia, social networking sites, so like Instagram. Those are Web 2.0 service category. However, nowadays, in this new millennium, Web 3.0 is basically moving on to meaningful web, or semantic web. Semantic web is basically promoting collaborative effort, which is promoting cooperation between users. So their main goal is basically, of course, to reduce human effort in searching for information. So for example, when you search, they are proposing for possible phrases that is perhaps quite close to the intention of your real search. And semantic web is basically proactive web in which they could move ahead of predicting what you need. And Web 3.0 is also being supported, or I think being assisted by the other things of web. For example, IoT, Internet of Things, in which people could monitor their homes from their workplaces, big data analysis, in which create more meaning from the big data, which is already hosted by the server, robotics, and many other applications that is basing on internet. So Web 3.0 also strongly promote, as I said earlier, collaboration, in which cloud computing platform is more strengthened. For example, Gmail, Google Classroom, and they are also promoting mobile computing, in which people are nowadays moving from places to places, and at the same time they search for information. So nowadays we are at the level of Web 3.0, which is Semantic Web, in other words, web that are predicting what your needs and they are giving you suggestion. Of course, nowadays, internet cannot work without the telecommunication system support. Either it is for cellular phone, and there are few standards which is now implemented under telecommunication, for example, CDMA, GSM, third generation network, which is the previous generation. Nowadays, we are pretty much in between using 4Gs and into transition into the next generation of broadband internet communication. For example, under 4G speed of communication network, so 4G maximum speed of communication is about 100 megabit per second, and it is very much suitable for like YouTubing, internet kind of VoIP, like Facebook, Cam, Skype. However, in future, we need faster than that because it start to apply for example, autonomous driving. So in which the car is consistently communicating through the internet with the server. So we need higher bandwidth. For example, at 5G, our communication speed is average around 20 gigabit per second. 20 gigabit per second means 20 multiplied by 10 to the power of 12 bit per second. Like 4G's speed is 100 megabit per second. Mega means times 6 or million. In other words, 100 times 10 to the power of 6 bit per second. However, here on the Giga platform, it is multiplied by 10 to the power of 12. So that's the difference between fourth generation and fifth generation. And of course, in future, we need a faster and much faster speed communication due to our own daily needs. On wireless revolution, we have few platforms to support wireless computer communication, because if you go to the McDonald's and you use their Wi-Fi, obviously you are using this Wi-Fi standard, 802.11 standard. So this is basically a worldwide standard that is applicable for all wireless communication platform. So Bluetooth is basically another system based on wireless. However, it has a smaller radius of communication, like around 10 meter area of communication capability. How does Bluetooth work? Well, Bluetooth actually solves problems of cabling between devices. For example, between printer and your notebook, or printer from smartphone, right? So these are basically wireless technology that solve short distance cabling problem. How does 802.11 system wireless local area network work? So basically, in the central here, if it is based on local area network, there is a trunking line, or for example, fiber line normally, fiber cable. And fiber cable is the central trunking communication between your server and also your hotspot, between a router and inside your office internal local area network to the internet. So these are basically the system that connected all your local area network devices towards the router and later go to the internet. And of course, from the internet, you will get connected to many other networks of computer networks for communication, for two-way communication. How does wireless computer network works? Well, again, as I highlighted earlier, it works because of the communication system by Wi-Fi, right? The Wi-Fi is slightly having weaker security features because it is easier to breach security at Wi-Fi platform. Another wireless computer network, they name it as WiMAX. WiMAX is normally at public places, for example, at the park or at the train station. So normally you can see this kind of transmitter antenna nearby the public park. Then this is basically users at public places. So they use platform for WiMAX, which is wider public access as long as range of around 31 miles. This should be around in the biggest communication area in comparison to Wi-Fi. Another thing, another aspect of a wireless platform in terms of devices that support them is RFID, radio frequency identification device. It could be in the form like this tag, right? Identification tag for individuals. Say if you are working at a very large space like shipyard or big spaces like, for example, data center. So you may need this RFID to identify your position, your location, so for security purposes. For example, if you visit a clothing store, those expensive clothing, normally they attach with RFID for security purposes. And of course, they have readers to detect this RFID tag, right? So that is the application for RFID in the form of, I would say, embedded device to the inventory that they want to monitor. This is more relevant to passive RFID, in which passive is considered short range, it is short distance, for example, like 5 meters or 10 meters. So it is commonly used at, say, in Malaysia at plus automated toll collection, in which you have your own smart tag reader here, and under the plaza toll there is a reader to detect your balance of money inside your smart tag, and they will deduct the collection of payment charge through communication between your tag and read by the reader, and they access the server, they cap your amount for money kept into your account, and they deduct accordingly to the travel distance that you have gone through in the plus highway. So that is how basically RFID works. Nowadays, based on smart cities environment, cities could monitor their, for example, environment parameter like pollution in the air, like movement of people, building sensor. They can install wireless sensor network, they call it WSN, and these all sensors are basically connected to server to monitor certain situational traffic in the city, for example, particles in the air, congestion in particular area. So these are devices embedded into the wireless sensor network, normally installed within the building or within the busy road or within the municipal area to monitor public places. So this again, another part of wireless communication platform. How does the wireless sensor work? Basically, it is a network by itself. It has a server, and perhaps this server hosted by the municipalities, authority, and they get connected to the traffic light, get connected to, say, particles, environment monitoring for air pollution. They monitor public places, for example, train station. All are this link and connected to the server and connected to the internet, of course, and later they could monitor from their headquarters for management purposes. I think that's about it for my lecture of chapter 6.